Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuzz here. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the arch-glacor at low Enrage, seeing if it's worth killing, and talking about the potential drop rate, showing you my loot from testing a bunch of low Enrage streaks at the arch-glacor, and showing you my real desperation for a core. So as you probably already know, the arch-glacor is a boss that was released in Runescape with the Elder God Wars update. Now, the unique thing about the arch-glacor is it has a streak and enrage system. This is the only boss to have this system other than Telos the Warden. Now here's the thing though, the arch-glacor's streak and enrage mechanics seem to work pretty differently than Telos in terms of drop rates. So for Telos the Warden, the streak and enrage directly affects the unique drop rate very highly. For instance, at 2500% enrage at Telos, the unique drop rate caps, or so we think, and using the wiki's Telos drop rate calculator, you can see that the drop rate for one kill at 2500% enrage is 1 in 15 for any unique. Similarly, streak also seems to increase the drop rate of uniques a lot. At an 100 streak at around 1250% enrage, the drop rate is also very high, capping at around 1 in 15 for any unique as well. Now the thing about the arch-glacor's streaking and enrage system is it seems to affect the drop rates of uniques way less than Telos does. This is confirmed by ModSponge on Twitter, who said the glacor drop system is affected by Killstreak and enrage. It just reaches its maximum modifier lower than Telos, so this means the arch-glacor's unique drops cap at a rate similar to Telos, but instead of capping at like an 100 streak or 2500% enrage, the glacor reaches this cap much faster. Which begs the question, if you're aiming to go for just uniques, how good is low enrage arch-glacor? Is it actually better than streaking to the higher enrages? Well, that's what we're going to test and look at in this video, so if you made it this far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want more videos like this, and let's get into it. So I want to mention that something we know about the arch-glacor that we can confirm is that streaking directly affects the amount of dark Nilas you can get. So the longer your kill streak, the more dark Nilas you're going to get if you receive a drop. For instance, during a very long streak, I managed to get 28 Dark Nilas from one drop on an 132 kill streak. But when I received Dark Nilas as a drop on a 75 streak, which was a much lower streak, I got 17 Dark Nilas. So it scales up and down from there. So if you do need Dark Nilas, then streaking as high as you can is going to give you the best chance at getting more of them per drop. That is something that we can say for sure. But for most people, including myself, this is not the case. The Frozen Core of Leng is the most sought after drop from the arch-glacor. It's used with 10 Dark Nilas to make the new tier 95 melee dual wield weapons, going for around 1 billion GP. Now this drop is the one that eludes many people, including myself. For me, I actually did end up getting one of these very early at around 100 KC, but I have done over 1300 kills since then without getting a second Frozen Core of Leng, which is what I need to complete my log. I even streaked as high as 1500% enrage, constantly streaked until I died. I unlocked the Silver Iceborne title, and I generally have grinded a ton of the boss and still don't have that second Core of Leng to complete my log. Now when I was streaming the arch-glacor, I had a ton of people tell me, hey, you should streak from 0 to 200 or 0 to 250. It's the best way to get a Core of Leng, you should try it. I've also seen people telling me to do 0% claims. I've also seen tons of Reddit posts about people streaking low enrage to try to get a Core of Leng or more unique drops, and well, this is something that I decided I would try and test out. Now the thing about the arch-glacor is it takes much longer to get kills the higher you get in terms of streak and enrage. So for instance, me going from 0 to 250% enrage takes me around 50 minutes and is like 20 kills. But if I were to go from 1000 to 1250% enrage, it would probably take me 2 or 3 hours. I'm getting the same amount of kills, but they're much longer. I use much more supplies, and if the unique drop rate is already long capped by then, what's the point? Other than, of course, the big normal loot. So today I'm going to be doing a bunch of 0 to 250 streaks, checking our GP per hour, seeing if we get any uniques, and comparing it to something like a long streak. So let's see what we get. So I ended up doing these streaks, and the nice thing about it was I really didn't need to use much food at all. I actually could soul split pretty much all of the kills the entire time, which made the kills much more chill and less intensive than streaking higher, because when you're streaking real high, it's much more intense. You can die from one hit, missing one prayer flick. So this was much more casual, and I don't think I used any food really, and the kills took around 1 to 2 minutes depending on Enrage, which was pretty fast when I got into a rhythm. So most of these streaks, as expected, ended the same way, streaking 20 or so kills with no drops except for the small amount of normal loot, which surprisingly kind of added up a bit more than I actually thought for doing these low streaks, which is to be expected. But I did get one streak during these that was quite interesting. So this streak I ended up getting an artifact of Leng, which is a unique drop from the arch-glacor that seems to be pretty rare, at least in hard mode, as I've only gotten one of these before in 1400 kills, and the artifact isn't really worth much, so I was kind of sad that I may have missed out on the same drop rate as a frozen core right there. But then during the exact same streak, a few kills later, we got Dark Nilas as a drop, which is another rare unique drop, and since we were so low on the streak, we only got 5, which goes back to what I said before, but that's 2 unique drops in one streak, which was pretty surprising to say the least. We also ended up getting a Scripture of When drop previously from a 0 to 250 or so streak, which adds a decent amount of money to this test, so I was actually very surprised with the amount of unique drops we got. But how does this compare? So we're going to look at a comparison, and first we're going to look at all the low Enrage kill streaks I did. So I ended up doing 8 low Enrage kill streaks from 0 to 250%, and those kill streaks averaged me around 50 to 55 minutes each, which took me a little over 7 hours to do the 8 kill streaks. So in total I made around 224 mil from these kill streaks, and I got 3 unique drops, the Artifact of Leng, the Scripture of When, and the Nilas, which brings my GP per hour to 30.5 million GP per hour and 3 uniques total. Now keep in mind the Scripture was pretty lucky. If we didn't include that in the GP per hour, the drops would be around 16 mil or so per hour in normal loot, which is probably more in line with what you will be getting for each streak. Now, if we compare this to something similar in time, we're going to look at some longer streaks that I did that took around a similar amount of time. So looking at these streaks, I previously did a 0 to 1000 streak, which based on how long I spent doing it, as the kills took longer and longer the higher Enrage you're at, I got around 37.3 mil GP per hour in common drops, but I didn't get any uniques from this entire streak. Then if we look at my longest streak ever, which is a 0 to 1500 streak, this took me 10 hours or so, maybe even a bit more, but I didn't actually keep track of this at the time, so I had to go back and kind of calculate and average my kill times, but I would say around 10 to 12 hours for this streak. And for this one, the commons are way more at 452 mil in commons, which comes out to 45 mil GP per hour. And then we also did get 2 unique drops, which were both Nilas, and as you can see, it's a ton of Nilas. But with these kills, they were very intense, and I spent a lot of time and definitely way more supplies doing them. So what's the verdict? Well, I actually ended up getting the most unique drops based on the time spent during these lower streaks. However, the GP per hour is much less if you don't count that Scripture that I had. At around 15 mil GP per hour, I'd say it's somewhere around there, whereas the higher streaks, I was getting upwards of 30 mil or even 50 mil GP per hour from the common loot from those. But from my experience from arch-glacor, if you care a lot about making GP per hour, no matter if you go dry or not, the higher streaks are going to be where it's at. Also, if you need Nilas, you're gonna have the best chance to get a ton of Nilas. As you saw, I got 43 Nilas in one kill streak, so you can get a ton of them at the higher Enrages. But the low Enrage streaking, while less GP per hour, and if you go dry, you won't make that much, so it's kind of boom or bust, but it did seem to get me a decent amount of uniques. Of course, to get a true representation, this would need to be tested over thousands and thousands of kill streaks, but I would say that low Enrage Glacor can actually actually make you a really good amount of money. It's not going to be the big GP per hour from streaking to high enrages, but you will have a decent chance at getting unique drops, and all it really takes is one core of Leng drop for you to make a huge amount and boost that GP per hour even higher. While personally, I still think that I'm gonna streak as far as I can because one, it's just way more fun to me, and it's one of the reasons why I didn't test 0% claims, which is what a lot of people told me to do as well, because 0% claims take around 1 minute to kill, and I can just see they're just so boring. I tried them for a bit, and I just can't get into it at all. The 0 to 250s were a lot more fun, not as fun as streaking to high enrage, but they were way more entertaining than 0% claims. So for me personally, I think I'm going to continue streaking as far as I can because like I said, it's more fun, the commons are way better. But if you're somebody that wants to just go for the core, basically you have a ton of Nilas, you're not really that stressed about the commons, or if you're somebody that just doesn't do high enrage glacier and you're wondering if it's worth it, yes, I would say it's definitely worth it to do lower enrage streaks. And as you saw, we made a decent amount of money and got a decent amount of uniques during this, so I think all in all it was a pretty good test. I'm really wondering what the sweet spot is. I think that's why Jagex is not releasing the drop rates, because people would be able to figure out the exact sweet spot. So maybe streaking 0 to 400% is where the, you know, drop rate caps, so that would be the absolute best, you know, way to go. Maybe it's 0 to 500, maybe it's 0 to 300, we don't know, but whatever that sweet spot is, I'm sure it will be figured out if the drop rates are ever released. But yeah, I tried my best to kind of give a comparison, and I hope this helped you out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, thought it was a pretty fun one, and hopefully eventually we get that core. Good luck on your streaking.